Hello and welcome back to another Bad Movie Reviews hosted by your favorite hunter of good films, Ben. And I am reviewing none other than the latest installment within the Sony Spider-Man spin-off universe. Obviously, we've had Venom, we've had Madam Web, we've had now Kraven the Hunter, Morbius, to say the least. Um, and this is the latest installment, and it is directed by J.C. Chandler, who is known for directing actually quite some good films. He's directed All Is Lost with Robert Redford back in 2013. He directed A Most Violent Year with Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain back in, I think, 2016 it was. And this film, obviously, if you're not familiar with the Spider-Man villain universe, it's essentially an origin story of Kraven the Hunter, who is played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is a very well known, very beloved actor. He's being touted as the potential next James Bond. He was in Bullet Train recently. He's just recently was in the trailer for the 28 Years Later film, which is coming out next year. And it also stars, he plays Sergei, or a Russian name, plays Kraven. And then you've also got Russell Crowe in the film. You've got Fred Heckinger, funnily enough, a little bit of a Gladiator crossover. And overall, quite a large cast here. But to be honest, the best way I can put it is this film had me craving to watch something else. Yes, cringy dad joke, but we'll go with it. This film is unfortunately quite bad, in my opinion. It doesn't stray away from what we've seen from the rest of the Sony MCU Spider-Man spin-off films, which is unfortunate. Venom I found enjoyable for the most part. All three of them they had their redeeming moments, and Morbius not so much, Madam Web not so much, and this, while there are some good-looking shots, and you do have a fairly good, like a good performance by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and even Fred Heckinger and Russell Crowe, they're all quite decent in the film, but the film itself is just quite poor. It's really edited quite atrociously, to be honest, in the sense that it's very similar to like Madam Web in its editing techniques. I don't know if they tried to make it similar, being that they were both Sony MCU films, but it's not nice to look at, um, which is the best way I can put it, really. And the story itself is just not interesting, unfortunately, and the action, if the story is not good, if there's any redeeming factors like good action, then, it can kind of bring you in a little bit. But unfortunately, the action here is just not anything to ring home about, or not anything. It's not really redeeming. It's not entertaining. Uh, it's just really, really unfortunate. I didn't know what to expect coming into this. I didn't have the highest of hopes with Sony's track record. I do really like Aaron Taylor Johnson and even the supporting cast, but it's just also like it's probably has the potential to be one of those films where it's like so bad it's funny. In the screening I went to, it actually wasn't packed out by any means, but there were a lot of laughs, just at cringy dialogue, at odd action sequences, at odd character decisions, at even acting at times. I don't want to say any spoilers or anything, because if you are looking forward to the film, go see it. Make up your own mind. I'll avoid getting into any nitty gritty spoilers or plot details, but it does have the potential to be like that kind of film where it is, bad, it's funny, um, which can have some redeeming qualities, but the unfortunate thing is it's just not good, and I think Sony kind of doomed it to fail, to be honest, in the sense that a couple of weeks ago they released the first 10, 12 minutes of the film on YouTube, which was the first time I've ever seen that happen. The day I'm seeing this, it was announced that the Sony MCU saga is dead, so Kraven the Hunter's the last film, and it does kind of end with like but whether we see these characters in the MCU, I'm not sure, but it does kind of end with an odd kind of lead into a sequel potential. Um, so the fact that they've already said that this saga, this you know saga of films is dead before it even comes out, isn't a great sign, especially for people who want to see it with the potential of it carrying on. obviously we recently saw the ending of Venom recently, and even that had potential with a sequel, or it's set up Nell obviously in the film, and it's just an overall an odd um, transition of events, or odd series of events really. But yeah, look, I don't know what I was expecting going into the film. Aaron Taylor Johnson, probably the best part about the film. It's in saying that it's not really that hard. He's always very good in most films, but um, there's just not really any redeeming qualities. And for a villain or beloved villain in a Spider-Man universe, you've seen him in the Spider-Man 2 game recently, it came out a couple of years ago. For a beloved villain and such an interesting villain of that, there's such potential with a great premise and with great action, great story. But I think it just really failed to kind of captivate in any further sense of the word, other than a few sequences here and there. And it was, a bit over 2 hours long, which it did kind of drag in sections. But overall, I'm just like, I'm not necessarily disappointed because I don't really know what I was expecting, but it's probably something I will never watch again or refer back to. And I think it's probably the perfect swan song to the Sony MCU saga, because it's probably very similar, apart from, the Venoms being relatively enjoyable and they have a bit of a cult following for the comedic aspect of it. But Morbius, Madam Web, like, everyone's forgotten about them. But I don't think this kind of fits in swimmingly. I wouldn't be against seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson come back to the MCU or come back as Kraven the Hunter, because I do think it is a good casting. I think he's good in the film. He looks the part. You can see him back here. And that's probably the best bit about the film. I thought some of the acting was decent, but dialogue, and once you see the film, you'll understand. But once you've seen it, when it releases tomorrow, I believe, comment below. Let us know what you thought. If you do like the review, give the video a like. Subscribe for more of our content, our reviews. We'll have a few coming out in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see you next time.